Question number 1. I have a group coaching program. If I have a couple of egos clashing within my community, what should I do? Separate them from everyone and do one-on-one? That question is from Steven.
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's juicy, right?
It's a juicy question. It's like a steak. It's like a nice New York steak.
What?
What is it, sirloin?
Sirloin?
No, sirloin. Not sirloin. Juicy. And the type that you cut into and still like juice comes out. That's the kind of question it is.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are 2 ways to look at this problem. First of all, it's not a problem. There's 2 ways to look at this situation. One is, you got to get better at choosing who you let in. Okay, I'm training new sales reps right now in our company for selling our program, and I made it very clear to them. First thing, I'm like, it doesn't matter if you get the person on the phone willing to buy. It doesn't. What's more important to us is quality. So if you're on a call with somebody and you can hear they're going to be a problem, like their personality, they're entitled, maybe they have egos, maybe they're not coachable, maybe they just complain or criticize 24/7 on the call, maybe they have a bad attitude, maybe they're full of fear to the point where it's like it's unbearable, like not even open-minded to getting over the fear, but more so they're like traumatized, like just by thinking of paying for something. If you find people like this, it's okay to let them go. I make my team know that. Like, it's okay. I'm not going to be upset if you don't close enough sales, but you tell me that the sales you didn't close, they were a bad fit.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, like, a lot of coaching companies and businesses, a lot of people that sell coaching programs, they try to sell everybody, most of them. And I know because I've worked inside some of them, and I've been clients of some of them, so I know the kind of people they let in. It's like there's no way they have actual standards, but they teach that you should see if it's a fit. And we see it in our marketing, book a call, let's see if it's a fit, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone actually lives up to that, most people. But we actually do here. Because I know the cost of having a bad person in a program. And what I mean by bad person, I mean like, it's just not a fit. Like with your thinking, their thinking, your ego, their ego, it's not a fit. There are fit and unfit people. It has nothing to do with whether they're good or bad. But here's the thing, like if you pay, for a program, most of the time it's like you pay once, you're in it forever. Sometimes it's you pay once, you're in it for a few months, and then you got to keep paying. Whatever the model is, for that time period that they paid to be in it, you don't want to calculate the sale, right, only. You want to calculate the weight of delivery. And the weight of delivering that sale, what they paid for, is going to be contributed. It's going to be the factors of them as a person also is in that weight. So someone, for example, who is incredibly technologically unsavvy, joining our program to learn how to set up a funnel, run ads, like, to some degree, we have a limit where we go, is this person able enough mentally to learn this? Are they open to the coach? But like on the Zoom call alone, we're trying to see, can they operate Zoom?
Yeah.
If it's really bad, like we used to let people in and be like, they'll learn. But now we've let a few people in and we're like, damn, I don't think they'll learn. Like, they're going to be lucky for us to help them do it along the way until they maybe, I don't know. Like, I'm still like, I don't know. Like, so I've thought about, I'm like, man, I'd rather them not, be in here. Like, they can join another program.
Yeah.
Right? Every student I have, I respect, I love, and I'm going to help them. But I'm saying I've learned from that, from just letting everyone in. I go, man, no. I got to, my team, it puts pressure on my team because they have to spend twice as long trying to explain something to someone. I'm like, on the coaching calls, when they come on and ask questions, it's like slowing down the rest of the group. And it's happened a few times, not a lot. Luckily, we don't have many people like this. And the people we do, we're giving them personal help. We coach them one-on-one to learn, because everyone learns at some point. But I'm saying you have to know who you want. So the first way to look at this is, like I'm just really strict with who I let in. I really don't want anyone. I don't care if they could pay for the program. That you get to a point, if you're at a point now, Steven, and anyone else watching, if you're at a point where you're just starting out, you might still be in the area of disbelief that you'll get a lot of people paying you for your program. Once you get past that and you start getting a lot of people consistently paying you for your program, it has nothing to do with now whether or not can you make money. So the money goes out of the way. Now you're thinking quality. Yeah. It's not quantity of sales, it's quality of sales. It's like we know we can consistently generate 10, 20, 30 clients a month. Like, we know that. So we're like, that's a lot of money. So the money's not an issue anymore. So we go, man, I'm willing to make less money but have higher quality people in the group. Yeah. Because the peace of mind over the period of a year or 6 months or how long they're with us, that's more costly to me if I lose it than if I lost the money.
Absolutely.
So you got to kind of prioritize your experience with the client when you choose who you're selling. Okay, that's one way to look at it. It's a smarter way to look at it because you're proactively not letting people. There's one person, me and her don't know who she is. One person at one point I had a feeling I'm like, I probably shouldn't sell this person. And something inside me, I'm like, you know what? They were really convincing. They were like, this is meant to be, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I'll give them a chance. They turn out to be a nightmare, like from hell. And 2 months after 2 months of like pretty much kicking them out, but it was just a difficult way to kick them out. I made a promise to her. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna make like a warning definition of like a person like this, like never let people like this in our program.
Yeah.
Nothing against the person. It's just I have nothing against the human being. I understand why actually they were like this.
Yes.
They had a lot of problems in life. But it's not a charity we're running. We're running a business. So the business has to stay healthy, both sanity and physically. So money's not the only thing that count there. There I'm like, maybe there's something else for this person that they could have joined that's better for them. Maybe this is the wrong time for them. That's why they were being this way. But whatever it is, they weren't a fit. Whatever the reason was. Not because they're bad people, but it's something I try to overlook and I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it costs me more money over time anyways. Trying to sell the person who wasn't a fit cost me more money.
Yeah.
Because we had to go through a whole like process of giving their money back, and that costs more money, more time, her time. I'm like, man, I lost money on this transaction, and all I'm trying to do is let the person get the person a chance.
Yeah.
So learn from my mistake. Do not let people who aren't fit into the program. I know you're gonna be tempted at first when you're just starting out. Maybe when you're not making more than 10 or 20 grand a month consistently, you're gonna be tempted to keep closing more people if they're willing to pay you. But you're gonna learn very quickly. The moment you have the first bad fit person, like you're probably facing now with egos, as an example of one of them or both of them have bad egos, like bad personalities, you're going to learn very quickly it has nothing to, like you don't care about the money more than you do about your experience. Because if you hate getting on the call because they're there, you're just killing yourself. It doesn't matter how much money you got. If you're unhappy, you're screwed. That's one way to look at it. Proactively filtering those people out. The other way to look at it is this. Let's say they're in, okay? Let's say they are in. I mean, I have people in my program, like, I love them. I love every single one of them. You know, but everyone has different egos and personalities. So to me, I'm like, okay, some people I have to have a different approach with coaching them. And it's funny because you're a coach, you would assume your clients will come in and just put their head down and listen, right? You would assume they paid you to learn, to listen. Why would they pay you to fight with you? It makes no sense, right? With you, okay? Now I know it's probably saying there's two egos clashing. It's not with them.
Yeah.
So I'm just giving you an example of people like this, yeah? But it's not the truth. You know, people come in and they still have closed minds. They still have egos. They still are stuck in old patterns. That's the point, though. Isn't the goal for us to be here to help them? I remember one time I was talking to one of my mentors, and this was like years ago, and I'm like looking at him, I'm like, man, I'm so pissed. There's this person, I sold this $10,000 offer to work with me. It was a while back, one-on-one. And I'm like, this person signed up for it, and I just really didn't want to work with them, but they were so persistent. They're like, this is like, I'm going to do this. I want to do it. And they paid in full, and I'm like, maybe I'll give them a chance. And I remember I was like going through it, and I knew it felt wrong. I'm like, this is not a fit. Like, their thinking's wrong. My thing, like, it's not going to work. And sure enough, within a few sessions in, a few months in, they try to back out. And we have a no refund policy in our company. So I'm saying to them, I'm like, the money already came in. We used it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, but I knew it shouldn't have happened. And so I'm saying to them, a while back, and I was complaining to my mentor. And I'm like, man, this person makes me uncomfortable. Like, I don't like coaching them. Like, they're really insecure. They're this way, they're that. I started complaining about it. And he looks at me, he goes, isn't that why he's your client? Because he needs your help? I'm like, oh, I got to be right, man. So for a moment, I'm like, you're right. I mean, they have problems. That's the reason why I'm coaching them. I mean, I can't complain that they have problems if that's what they paid me to help them with. The kicker was, though, they paid me for something other than actual life coaching.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really earning the right with them to coach them on life, even though they needed it, and they wanted me for help for other things. And I'm like, sure, but like their personality was an issue, not their skill set here. So that's really what my mentor didn't understand. But what he said made sense to me. I'm like, man, we have to expect that our clients are going to have hard things about their personality in their life. That's the reason why we're here to help them. And if it triggers us, that means we still need to coach. Right? Ooh. So I did. I got coaching around that time, and I learned to look at it differently. And, me and them, we split ways peacefully. We figured out a way for it to work. But like I said, time and time again, I learned my lesson from letting the wrong people in. This is really where you got to focus on. Stop letting them in. Now, let's say they're in the program, okay? Maybe they're not clashing with you, they're clashing with each other. First of all, if it's a group program and clashing with each other, that is so normal. Like, you know how many 3-day seminars I've taught Think and Grow Rich with the president, Reborn for myself, Elite Speakers Academy when I taught public speaking? You know how many times we had students argue with each other in front of us? Multiple times. We just watch. See, your problem is you think you have to do something about it. No, you don't. They're all grown adults. What does that have to do with you? Yeah. You get what I'm saying? Like, I remember one time we sat there, and I'm going to show you how to neutralize it, by the way, in a group call. I actually will show you how to neutralize it, because luckily I used to run seminars, so I was in a room with these people in real person, not over a Zoom call, and I learned how to, like, neutralize things and move on, right? But you can't stop it from happening. Like, people have egos. You can really minimize it by not letting bad fit people in. You can. But they're going to sneak in somehow sometimes. Maybe they're really good actors and you never knew it, you know? And then they come in and be like, what the hell is this nightmare?
Yeah.
So I would sit down and Think and Grow Rich seminars teaching with Satish. And we'd have like someone go, well, my goal is this or something. And, you know, we were very open in this. It was like a group coaching program. It's like no different than one of seminars, a group coaching program.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because especially the way we did Think and Grow Rich, because we would learn a lesson and then everyone would just talk about it.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. It's like a mastermind almost. We just sit down and talk. It was very different than a normal seminar.
Yes.
And that's why I love the Think and Grow Rich seminars, the way Satish used to run them, president of Think and Grow Rich. So we sit there and someone would clash with someone else's opinion. And we just sit there and watch. And we would have self-control. So as the facilitators, we'd watch. The coaches, we'd just sit and watch. And they would, one person would be like, yeah, but I don't believe that at all. And the other person would be like, well, what about this? And then they're like, blah, blah, blah. And we all just listen. We always give them the respectful time for them to figure it out if they can.
Yeah.
If they can't figure it out, figure it out. Okay, that's first step. Let them figure it out first. What did they do?
Yeah.
So if their egos are clashing, yeah? And then we would just tune in, like, we'd wait for it to, like, be the right time. And what I would do is I would just jump in real quick and be like, yeah, so quick question. And I would break the pattern by asking a question. I'd be like, and then I would ask the rest of the group, not even them. I'd be like, so how many of you relate, by the way, to one of their points? Mm-hmm. So I'm giving you a technique right now. This is a way to break patterns, okay? In audiences. So when you're doing group coaching, like I do as well every week, we have multiple live coaching calls with our students. So, but the thing is with me, they come on one-on-one. They can't clash with each other. That's the thing, okay? So it's like one-on-one coaching, each person. Mm-hmm. I don't do like a live Zoom, everyone looks at each other. No, I don't do that at all. So that's another way to avoid it if you're online, okay? Just make it a webinar instead of a Zoom meeting and just everyone doesn't even know who's on unless they chat.
Yeah.
Okay, so no one then has the opportunity to. But they might clash with you. That's why I have that experience sometimes. But in a room or a live group coaching, everyone's talking. They're all seeing each other. Okay.
Yeah.
So they'd be fighting or whatever, and you could tell like they're probably both wrong or both right. Who knows? I'd walk in like, so quick question: how many of you guys in this room or in the group can relate to one or more of the opinions here? And they will all be like, yeah. And you neutralize it because everyone they feel good now. They're like, yeah, I'm right.
They're validated.
Then I just change the focus, and all I do is I relate it to a positive frame. Like I positively frame what just happened to something beneficial. So I just be like, yeah. So what we can learn from this conversation right now is that there's always two sides to everything. I'm just making this up. Two sides to everything. And so isn't it really our goal here to learn how to cooperate then with those two sides, understanding it, and everyone just like, yeah. And I'm like, all right, awesome. So you guys ready to continue? And I just move on. That's literally what we did. How many dozens of 3-day seminars I've done?
Many.
Dozens, hundreds of days of seminars.
Yeah.
And that was always the trick. I would just agree, come in, I'd ask a question, relate it to the audience. Audience will agree, and they go, okay, yeah. And then I'd be like, and frame it positively.
Yeah.
Now, one time in my seminar, I had an ego clash with me. It's no different than two egos clashing, but I'm telling you how positive framing is the secret here.
Yeah.
For neutralizing a group or two people with each other. Positive framing. It's your job as a coach, as a facilitator of your course, of your program. I told a story once, and I had mentioned that like the person in the story was Jewish, and this person got seriously offended. Okay, I didn't even notice she got offended. Like I had actually no idea. I was harmlessly telling a story, but in the story, the Jewish person was like being really mean to my dad, and that was just the truth. Like that's what happened, and they happened to be Jewish. I wasn't being like what is it called? Not racist. Stereotypical. Like, but that's what she thought, and she was being so offended. She walks out of the room. I didn't even notice, and then later on, I realized she walked out of the room. I'm like, what happened? And then my team came up like, yo, she tried to leave. She was pissed. She was like gonna go write bad reviews, and we stopped her, we helped her, we brought her back. I'm like, I didn't even notice. Bring her back, let me talk to her. She goes back in the room and grabs a mic from my staff. Standing in the back of the room, there's 50 people in front of us in the seminar. Everyone paid $2,000 to be there. Some families, there's Jewish families there. It's like a wide variety. There's Muslims, there's everyone types of people there. I'm on stage in this coaching program we're running. It was a public speaking one. She grabs the mic. She goes, I have a question. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I was so like innocent. I'm like, yeah, what's going on? She'd be like, is it very important? See, this is just ego clashing. Is it very important that you have to mention the person's Jewish? It was so important that you had to say, because I am a Jewish, and we are not like that. And I'm just sitting there looking at her, like, for a moment, she was like, rah, rah, and I was like, da 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 da, in my mind, da 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 da. She's like, and I'm like neutralizing myself. I'm like, I can't respond egotistically. Not only is it a bad example to the audience of what leadership looks like, but it won't help her. So I just calmed down. I'm just looking at her because I know she's like misinterpreting what I did. She's misunderstanding. Now she's on the line. She's like, you, that is racist and stereotypical. I'm so appalled that you're on a stage. And like, I'm like, so what's your question? I swear to God. She vents out because she's like, I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm like, literally, it all finished. I disacknowledge all of it because if you add more fuel to the fire, it's going to get worse. And I'm just like, so what's your question? She goes, my question is, was it necessary for you to mention the person's Jewish? I'm like, no. I didn't have to.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice I did. And I calmed it down and balanced it out. She goes, well, and I'm like, are you upset? She's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, okay. Well, if you give me the opportunity, I'd love to apologize. I didn't think you would take it like this. I didn't know. So I neutralize, eh? See, my ego would be like, here's why you're wrong. But don't do that. As a coach in your program, if two people are like this, like you got to come in as like, you're both right. If they do with you, you're right. You have to neutralize people by agreeing with them. Or else their egos will be way too stiff for them to open up to actually resolve it with you. So long story short, with this person, I turned it around so well. I framed it positively, and I said, you know what? Let's give her a round of applause for the courage she had to speak her truth. Everyone's clapping for her. Now she's like, shit, like she came in hoping to make me like this demonize me, but I turned into like this hero because I'm like praising her. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, let me ask you a question. I'm like, there's an emotion you're feeling right now, right? And here's the thing, here's what I shouldn't have done. I actually asked the audience, I'm like, was anyone else offended from the story? No one put their hands up. And she was like all alone. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that because now she feels alone. Yeah. She's like, wow. And I'm like, there's a whole Jewish family sitting here. I'm like, you guys are Jewish, right? They go, yeah. And I'm like, did you notice I said it? They're like, no, we didn't notice. But like, I mean, she has a point, but we didn't really notice. And she goes, I'm like, listen, doesn't mean you're wrong. I'm just saying you're actually right. But no one else noticed. So it's okay that you noticed it. But can we put it aside and notice that it's just two people here. We're just trying to make this work. She goes, do you want a hug? And I'm like, sure. And she came and hugged me and like everyone clapped and I neutralized it. It was a little bit deeper than that. We talked more. I did a lot of like coaching stuff.
He did some stuff.
I did some stuff like to make, to neutralize her. But my point is, I framed it to a positive benefit. I held her next to me now and I looked at the audience. I'm like, we can learn something from her. That in a world where it's so scary to say, even to be who you are, just to say what you want to say, let alone say it in front of an audience, like against the person who's saying it. I'm like, we've learned that it takes courage to speak what you believe in. And so you've actually been a great example to us today. Thank you so much. And everyone just clapped. And she was like, and she came after me after that at the break, and she goes, "That was quite a show we put on." I'm like, what? Because she was laughing about it. She's like happy about it now. So it's quite a show we put on. I'm like, well, I mean, you're the star. She goes, I have to say, I've grown immense respect for you because of how you responded. I thought you were gonna fight me. I'm like, there's no point in that.
Yeah.
People with egos, man, all it is deep inside they're just all afraid. They're all just really insecure. That's why they clash with others. So I hope this helped. I know I kind of went around, like I gave you multiple perspectives of different scenarios of egos clashing. Yeah. One with yourself, one with people on a sales call, one with people together.
Yeah.
All I know is this. The goal for us is to neutralize. The way you do that is, man, making everyone right. Because egos just want to be right or else they die. If they're wrong, it's like the end of their life. That's what an ego is like. Not the person, the ego is like that. So that's why they got to fight for it. Even if they're wrong and they know it now, they'll still pretend like they don't.
Yeah.
They're like, no, I'm right.
Fight is the most
Every mother ever who ever lived. They know they're wrong. No, I'm right. I'm like, are you sure? Yeah. What do you want for dinner anyways? And change the subject. Okay. So reread the question one more time. I want to make sure I answered it nice.
Yeah. I have a group coaching program. If I have a couple of egos clashing within my community, what should I do? Separate them from everyone and do one-on-one.
No, never.
Steven.
Yeah, so last thing I'll add on this. Don't ever adjust yourself. Like, adjust your integrity of how your business is running and everything to accommodate a few people in your program. You know how crazy that sounds? Do you know how crazy that sounds? How the hell are you going to scale a business like that? You got to get better at finding the right people that fit into the system than trying to change the system every time something goes kind of wrong. No, man. Can't do that. So, by the way, the best thing you can do if it's in a group setting where like people are just kind of clashing, and I don't even know what that means, by the way. I wish the person was here so you can explain to me what does clashing mean. Some of you guys who are watching the recording right now or are live, I want you to understand something. If you're on the show live, you would have a much better experience in me answering because I can ask questions of you then to be real coaching because then I would understand your situation. And for the ones who are asking questions, give more context so we understand. Then I can actually answer better instead of generically because I'm doing my best to answer, but I don't even know what that means. What if it's just two people argued for a moment and you moved on? I'm like, it's not a big deal, move on. What if they're like two people for sure, they're like, I'm not going to be in this program anymore? I'm like, well, that's different. Generally, when two egos are clashing, almost disacknowledge it doesn't matter. Neutralize it, make everyone learn from it, and move on. That's it. Yeah, that's my answer.
Cool. One thing that I want you to, pay attention to, Stephen, with everything that Armin said is, as soon as you get to the point where your peace of mind is being compromised, you have to make a change. Whether they are in the program or otherwise, if things are happening and your peace of mind is being affected, you delivering the program is being affected by the energy of other people. You just need to do some extra work. So whether that is, like Armin said, going to a mentor to ask them, like, hey, like, is this okay? Is this normal? Is this great? Like, you're asking on the show right now, which is awesome. Apart from that, with the students themselves, you got to give them the space, if possible, to be adults and work it out, right? If it's not possible for you to do that, by all means, you can take necessary action like Armin just described. But I think the key thing here, like with what you got going on and how you want to deal with this situation is ask yourself, like, do I have peace of mind if I do A and B? Do I have peace of mind if I do this? Yeah. Like, is their egos clashing going to cause me to have anxiety while I'm on a coaching call or whatever that may be?
Do you get uncomfortable when you think about going on the next coaching call and they're there?
That's
a big sign you should get rid of them.
Do what you got to do, right?
Be okay with refunding the money, just leave it, let them go.
Yeah, yes.
And that's less costly to you in money than it is in time and like your peace of mind.
Yeah, and that's something that, we don't deal with often. I would say we don't deal with often just because, like Armin said, we really do, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Qualify all of our prospects, all of our leads, the people in our program. But, once in a blue moon, if you will, we do have to make necessary decisions to either, tell people they can no longer be in the course, they can't participate in this, or whatever that may be. But those are the questions that we ask ourselves: is our peace of mind going to be affected by this person in the program? Are they going to be a headache later? Is this going to cause us more issues later? Is this gonna ruin our harmony as a team, as a collective, as the group? Is it going to affect the energy in our community? These are very necessary questions that you need to ask yourself, especially in relation to this person, because one person can go very quickly. Yeah. if it's gonna save the longevity of your course or your program long term, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to snip. Okay.
Your biggest threat when you're growing your business, like you get more clients in, your program's going to become more popular. Your biggest threat is keeping bad people, retaining bad people in the program. They'll ruin the experience. Same with the team. The more you grow a company, you have one bad egg, rottens the other eggs. You have to protect your culture and your team and your program. You got to be ruthless in a sense. But you can do it in a gentle way. You don't have to be a bad person to them, but just make it clear it's not acceptable. You must tolerate less as you grow. If you tolerate more as you grow, you will get brought down. But if you tolerate less when you're growing, you have less room for issues like this. Mm-hmm. I was talking to one of my students, and they did like, we were talking a few weeks ago, and they're doing good in the program. They just crossed the 20K mark. They'd never have done coaching, never been online, nothing. They took our system from scratch. They're, I think, at like close to 25 now in sales, 25,000 with the program. And we were talking a few weeks ago, and I told them, I'm like, man, I've learned so much from having bad fit people join the program and like having to get rid of them. I'm like, it's almost like God's trying to tell me, like, just trust me. When you do the right thing, disposing of the people that shouldn't be there, Like they have somewhere else. They're not bad people. They have somewhere else that they can fit into, just not with us, right? I mean, at the end of the day, I'm gonna just say it the way it is. There are negative people and positive people. That's not like I don't have to sugarcoat that. There are negative-minded people, negative attitude people, and there's positive attitude people. That's a bad fit for everybody. I don't know if there's a place for negative-minded people. So if you're one or you know one, get rid of them or change it because there's no place for a negative person. Okay, unless it's amongst other negative people who are doing nothing. So yes, part of it is that you have a positive mental attitude. You have a good attitude. You're a good person. You don't add stress to people's lives. You take it away because you're a good person. We get rid of those people quick. The moment I see a sign, I'm like, ugh, forget about coachable. You are toxic. And until that gets, you need a life coach before you need a business coach. That's what I'm trying to say. So if they came to me in like another course where I'm teaching like how to change your life, sure, I wouldn't dispose of them because I'm like, you're here for help. But if you're buying a marketing program to build a business and you have a bad attitude, do not come here yet. Go and fix yourself because I don't even believe you should have clients. That's how deep I go. I don't believe you should have clients because you're going to ruin their life. So I was telling one of my students and I was telling them, every time I've done the right thing, and I've done it maybe 1 or 2 times, maybe 2 or 3 times this year, and you have to do it sometimes. We don't do refunds in our program. I don't do refunds for anything because I don't believe you should start something with thinking of a way out. Like that makes no sense. If you're doing something, you do it. But if it reverses like where I can't handle the person anymore, I will get rid of them. And we'll figure out a reasonable, fair way of money or whatever. Because I'm not just going to take someone's money, not give them the full thing and leave. No. But sometimes I'll give a portion back. Sometimes I'll get it all back. I'm like, you needed more than me, man. Get out of here. Like, whatever it is, I'll do it. I'll do the right thing. Whatever feels right to me, right? But I won't do it unless I think, like, there's people that try to take advantage of that. They'll come in my program and they'll be like, yo, I really, just because they change their mind, just because, and this happened like maybe a couple times only in like years. They're like, oh, well, I just realized I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, yeah, but like, go sign up for a lease for a house or a mortgage and then tell the bank you realize you don't want to live there anymore. They don't care. What does that have to do with anything? Yeah. You change your mind is a you problem. I'm still here to help you with what you paid for. Now, it's different if they come in and they're trying to do it, but they're making everyone's life hell. That's different. I'm like, I don't want you here. You've lost the right of my coaching. Like, I don't want to help you anymore. I want someone else to help you. You need someone else, like a therapist, to help you get out of this crap you're in. Or find me somewhere else where I'm not teaching marketing, and I'll help you with your life. And the funny thing is those people usually don't think they need that help.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? So, I was telling my student, and I'm like, man, I feel like every time I've done the right thing, I've been rewarded. Because the moment I get rid of someone and I'm like, I give their money back or whatever, I'm like, just go. Like, I don't want to work with you. The next week, I hit record sales. I remember the month, there was a month where there's a few like high ticket clients I had sold, and I'm like, I don't want to work with them because it's not fit. Like, it's not right. It doesn't feel right to me. I decided to give all their money back. And it was a lot of money. And I'm like, yeah, I'll pay it. I don't care. Because I'm like, I trust it's the right thing to do. If I do the right things will be done for me. Okay? I give all this money back. That was one of our highest record sales at that time.
Yeah.
I made like 4 or 5 times the money I paid back to them in sales. And I'm like, what happened? And the only thing I think about was like, I did the right thing. Yeah. And I was telling my student this, and he goes, man, that's so true because like last week, some guy put a deposit down for my program, and I told him it's not refundable because, you know, he's selling his program now. He goes, and he followed up with me like 5 days later, even though I said that to him, he asked for it back. And he was going to quit, and I was like, you know, and he's like, I knew inside, like, it wasn't really a good fit, like, I just wanted to give him a chance. I was trying to tell him, teach him this. And he goes, so I just gave his money back, I didn't care. And he's like, the next 3 days, I did $7,000 in sales. And I'm like, first of all, congrats. Post that shit in the group. Second of all, I'm like, that's awesome. You get the point. So one of my students, like, they're like, I gave the money back. And I made $7,000 in sales. And, it's like, and I didn't even do, like, I've been doing the same thing, so what changed? And now all I can think about is I did the right thing. So it's the kind of culture I have at NSGC and our team, like, do the right thing, even when no one's watching. And you'll always be taken care of, you know? So to me, it's like, it's okay sometimes to let these people go, man. Like, it's okay. There is an illusion that you think you're losing money. You're actually making a lot of money. Because not only are you keeping your sanity and your students, right, from them wanting to leave because this person's creating ruckus, but also you're opening up the door. It's like the law of, you know how space works? It works like a vacuum. Like a dark hole. A black hole, it sucks things in because it's trying to fill itself, the void. So every time you let go of something new fills the spot. So if you keep it on to bad people in your program, you're taking up the space that a good person could take. So if you let go of them, you open this vacuum. The vacuum will suck a good person in. It's a crazy story I remember hearing one time. There was this old couple living in a house, and the husband, like, was super, like, nonchalant, didn't care about anything. But the wife's like, man, I want to get rid of these curtains. These curtains are so ugly. I've always wanted to get rid of them. I hate these curtains. And he goes, I mean, like, we can't really afford it. She goes, I don't care. Like, I don't want them anymore. So she rips them down, throws them on the street, okay, for it to be taken away. And 2 days later, husband comes home, it's brand new curtains. He's like, where'd you get this from? She's like, you won't even believe it. I was at work, and I was talking to a friend, and I overheard someone saying they're getting rid of their curtains because they're moving to another country. They can't take it with them. There's no space. So I went over and I asked if I could have them. They go, yeah, for free. I'm like, what? He goes, for free? These look like $500 curtains. They're really expensive. Like, look at the quality of it. How did that happen? He goes, I don't know. Like, I really hate this couch. I don't want this couch anymore. I want to get rid of it. And he goes, no, don't be crazy. Now, couches are $1,000. You can't afford that. She goes, I don't care. I don't care. She pulls it out, puts it in the front of the street, gets rid of it. Now they have no couch. The guy's sitting on the floor watching TV for 3 days. 3 days later, comes home, brand new couch in the living room. These guys don't make money to buy furniture, guys. The husband comes, oh, what the hell happened? She goes, you won't even believe it. I was driving by the street. I saw a garage sale with the perfect couch. So I walked up and I asked how much. And they said, you know what? We're about to finish off anyways. Just take it. We don't need it. And she goes, oh my God. Okay, thanks. And she hired a mover, got it, and brought it into the house. He goes, how are you doing this? She goes, I don't know, but I've been thinking about getting rid of you for a long time. So she put her husband on the street. Moral of the story is, when you get rid of the thing you have that you don't want, you make space for the thing you want to show up.